Underneath it all, I didn't believe that. I knew that I was okay the way I was, but I was always internalising external opinions about my identity and waiting for other people to define my identity for me. Until I realised that, wait, nah, I've got to do something about this. I'm Brad Lincoln and I run a project called Mix, which is based in Manchester. I named it a social enterprise, but not a charity, because a charity would be looking to support or fix something, and I wasn't looking to fix. It's a bit of cultural mining, if you like. There was a definite moment early on in life when I began to think about this project. My mum is white English and my dad is black Jamaican, and my mum and dad split up when I was young, and I used to go on holiday with my dad and his second family. And on this holiday I got into a fight with some boys, as boys do, because they're silly. And I got a fight with some boys because he was calling me a b***ing, and so I got upset and I told my dad, and my dad came over. He said, "Why are you getting upset?" I said, "I'm getting upset because he's calling me a b***ing." He said, "Well, you ain't black." I thought, damn, you're black, you must know. So, and I was really sensitive about that at the time, so I didn't dare answer my dad back or ask any questions. I just thought, oh, well, I'm not black then. But he didn't tell me what else I was, because I knew equally that I wasn't white. And as time went on, I had a very happy childhood, but I do remember being raised in a predominantly white area, so your identity would often be brought into question. I was tired of waiting for people to tell me what I was, because it was exhausting. It was exhausting to wait to somebody tell you were black one day or some people tell you were white, and just didn't seem to fit that I could wait the rest of my life for somebody to give me permission to be who I was when I knew who I was. And I thought, well, if there's people like me out there, there must be lots more people like me out there who want to be able to explain how they feel. And I wanted to flip the discussion. The very ordinariness of mixed, which was always made problematic. I didn't want it to be problematic, but I also knew that there wasn't a language to make it ordinary, because we haven't spoken about it enough. I'd say our aim is to make a positive contribution to social, academic and commercial conversations on mixed race identity. Initially it was a really selfish exploration of a subject which I want to talk about. I wanted to find out what other young people were thinking, and in doing that I realised that there were lots of people out there who had questions as well, and they were very distinctive groups. There were professionals who were looking after and supporting young people from mixed backgrounds. There were the young people themselves, obviously, who needed some kind of emotional support around feeling, well, how do I make these friendships and how do I support both of my family groups? And then there were parents who were raising their child. And the result was building a website first where I gathered what young people were saying so that they could actually be part of the conversation. Take it away from the academic discussion, because it was only academics who were talking about this subject, but that wasn't useful for a mother who's got 4 kids. She wants it spoken about in a language which she can understand, and also that she can convert and help her children to grow. So the education aspect of the work was a really important way for me to capture everything I'd learned, bring it to life so that people could use it. Here's a way that you might do things to complement that positive development, but not look for answers. And then I did some work around history, because lots of young people told me that, or they would ask me if I was the oldest mixed race man in the UK. Yeah. So I thought, okay, let's talk about mix from an historical perspective, which I did, and we got together in London, South Bank University conferences. So I'd have 50 or 100 young people there at a time. And it was really interesting to see their responses. By the end of it, I liken it to a chocolate box. Some would take a little and some would take a lot. For the whole 7 years, I would always watch these young people come in really unsure, and as the day goes on, you'd see them walking taller because they've got some language to better describe themselves to themselves, not to other people. And that was the message. I could see it resonate, I could see them moving. So I respect them all for that. So everything they've taught me, I teach other people, and then it's all cyclical, isn't it? So I wanted to do something visual, so I did a photography book where young people could be involved, but it was also about a way to involve more audiences so that they could visually see themselves represented. and just have a sense for that younger version of myself would want to go, oh, that's where I am, and that's okay. I'd only have to pick it up once and I knew I existed. And some describe themselves by their country, some describe themselves by their nationality. Some would say, I'm a quarter, I'm a third this, or they did it by percentages. And I found that really, really interesting. In all of these discussions, we've always waited for other people to name our experience of being mixed. And here was one time when they were talking about how they were mixed. So I kept all of those unedited versions in there to give some breadth to how it looks for these individuals. The young people taught me that that was a special part of the journey. It's kind of just that ownership thing. There aren't as many things within mono-heritage society where you have to own that, but within a mixed identity you're often making your identity. It wasn't a linear process either. You didn't start at A and go through C. Some started in the middle and went backwards. But overall there was that space of not feeling enough, not black enough or white enough or whatever your enough was. And then I think after all of that kind of mental back and forth, they needed to find a place which was groundedness, where they are, I've got to stop moving around with this subject internally. And the answer then lay in not waiting for other people to ascribe an identity to you, for you to subscribe to something which you felt most. But they're seeing themselves represented more. I think they're selling more products, but they're not selling products that reflect them. And I kept hold of an idea around hair, because myself, my family and friends were always looking for hair care products. So I decided to create Mixed Hair, which is a unisex hair care product. My intention was to start that conversation in a commercial space, so that myself, my kids, my family could all go in and see themselves represented. So it's always been an evolution of an idea, but the theme has always pretty much stayed the same. It's not where mixed is seen, it's where it isn't seen. And then at the end of mixed, I put a colon, as in punctuation from the general to the specific. I wanted to create an ongoing conversation, so I didn't want mixed to be flattened into a black and white thing. Because if you were white Pakistani, you'd have a different experience of being mixed than you would white, black, Jamaican. And I thought it was unfair to think that it's the same. The colon was to kind of keep that conversation open to all the other possibilities around being mixed. Then what comes after that can be anything. So you could have Mixed Manchester, you could have Mixed USA, or you could have Mixed India. Is a space where people can step into that freely without having to disown any part of themselves and make up what it means to them.